Hi everyone, my name's Ella and welcome to 100 Stories Deep. Today I'm going to be reading a story called Making an Elephant Happy, which is from this book of short stories called Kitchen Curse by Eka Kurniawan. I've chosen this story because it's quite unusual in that it uses a really dark and sinister plotline, but it's also very humorous. And uses this to explore the innocence of childhood and children. Making an elephant happy. Because it was very hot that day, a regular day in this tropical country, the elephant paid a visit to a house. He had heard from somebody, or maybe from another elephant or animal, that human beings have small cooling storage rooms called refrigerators. They store everything, especially food, in refrigerators. How wonderful it would be if I could get myself inside a refrigerator, thought the elephant. The elephant knocked on the door and two young children welcomed him. There were no parents or caretakers around, and for a moment the elephant felt a little unsure whether he could communicate with the youngsters. However, they seemed to be excited to see him. "Hi, elephant, what can we do for you?" asked the little girl, the younger of the two children. "Oh, I'm very hot. I'd like to cool myself in the refrigerator," said the elephant shyly. The two children looked at each other. Then the boy nodded and said, "I sometimes put my head or arm inside the refrigerator. It's very refreshing. What's the harm in trying to do the same for the elephant, even for just a moment?" The girl agreed. "That's fine with me." The children led the elephant inside the house and tried to fit him into the refrigerator. The refrigerator itself was quite full. There were several eggs sitting on a small rack, wedged among packets of ready-made sauce. On the top shelf, a bag of raw chicken rubbed itself up against piles of sausages. On the middle shelf were bananas and apple pieces, as well as a leftover slice of birthday cake from their next-door neighbour. There were bite marks on the cake, plus a box of grapes. On the bottom shelf there were vegetables, and in the door shelf were rows of drinks, bottles of lemonade, boxes of fruit juice and cans of soda. The children started to take everything out of the refrigerator, hoping to make room for the elephant. They did their best, but only the tip of the elephant's trunk could fit inside. Their next step was to remove all the shelves until the refrigerator was entirely empty. This done, they pushed the elephant from behind, trying to squeeze him inside the appliance. The elephant coiled his trunk, but still, no matter how hard they shoved, only a little bit of his head would fit. "The elephant's too big," said the boy desperately. He was a type of boy who was certain of his ability to do anything he wanted. Yet this time, he had to face reality. This task was beyond him. The girl was quiet for a moment and then came up with an idea. "Perhaps we should cut him up into little pieces so we can put his entire body in the refrigerator." The girl probably remembered how her mother had once cut a papaya into chunks to fit into a small bowl. "We should try that," thought the boy. Both children began to busy themselves cutting up the elephant. First, they tore off and sliced up his forelegs, then his tail, then his head, before moving on to his wide ears and long trunk. The elephant's belly was still too big to fit inside the refrigerator, so they cut that up into 20 smaller chunks. To be honest, it was rather exhausting work for 2 young children. But it all paid off when they finally managed to fit chunks of the elephant's body inside the refrigerator. First, they laid down 2 of his ears inside the refrigerator, then several bits of the trunk. They placed his tusks side by side where bottles usually stood in a row. They cut the elephant's head into 8 pieces, and the girl arranged them in a neat pile inside the refrigerator. Soon the refrigerator was chock full of the elephant's cut up body. Not all the pieces made it inside though. Much of him was still strewn across the floor of the house. "There's no space left," said the girl. The boy nodded. It was time for them to give up. The elephant's body was just too big for the refrigerator. They spent the next few minutes in silence, staring at the chunks of elephant inside the refrigerator and on the floor. Then the girl realised something. "I think we've killed the elephant." Her words were imbued with a kind of sadness. "That's true," said the boy. "But at least we've succeeded in getting some parts of his body inside the refrigerator. That must make him happy." "Yes, he must be happy. Or at least parts of him are happy." The girl no longer felt sad. More than that, the 2 children will always remember that day as the happiest in their lives, because they had succeeded in making the elephant happy. At least, they made parts of him happy. "I think making him happy is the most important thing of all," said the boy. "There's no reason for him to live if he's not happy." The girl nodded in agreement, smiling joyfully. So I hope that you enjoyed that story, and I just want to leave you with a thought. I want you to think about whether you think that story holds any sort of moral or metaphor, and if so, what do you think the story is trying to tell us or get us to think about? So thank you for listening. You can listen to and watch more stories in the 100 Stories Deep series by pressing the subscribe button below.